This video is unscripted, so forgive me in advance if it sounds like it's rambling or not making a whole lot of sense. I said I was going to make this page for a lot of people who are getting into the beginning of survivalism or prepping. As I've told people in the past, I've been a survivalist for years. I was raised that way. I had a lot of times out in the woods fishing and hunting and learning how to live off the minimalist type of lifestyle. And that's what I'm talking about now, is the difference between prepping and survivalism. A lot of people don't seem to know the difference. The real difference is basically, I believe, who's going to live or die after a shit hits the fan scenario. If you look at preppers, they typically get tunnel vision on one type of event. They like to gather a bunch of gear. They're in the military, we call them gear geeks. They were the guys who wanted all this extra high-tech, high-speed gear, and they may have been just a regular pogue like a mechanic or, some truck driver or whatever, thinking that they were some kind of special operator, so they had all the high-speed gear. A lot of civilians are like that too. Unfortunately, a lot of veterans are as well. They get into prepping, preparing for whatever, and they buy a lot of crap they don't really need, and they don't have the skill set to actually use it to its utmost advantage. A survivalist can take minimal gear, minimal anything, few tools here and there, and be able to survive completely. When I look at it, if you look at it, one of the examples I like to use is The Walking Dead. Everybody's obsessed with zombies, so I tell them about that show, and I say, look at people like Daryl and Merle, right? They're survivalists. They can get out there, the friggin' crossbow, a knife, and whatever's in their pockets, and they can make do. That's what a typical survivalist is like. They don't have to be the gritty, racist, all that garbage, but they have the skill set to survive, whereas a prepper will not. They will typically get into this because they want to be self-reliant and they're unsure how to do it, but they want everything to be mobile, and then they start loading themselves and packing themselves down with all this unneeded gear. So that's the difference, and that's what this page that I'm making is for. It's for people to know the difference. I take things from a survivalist standpoint. Yes, I do have my preparations, I'm involved with the local militia here. I'm one of their trainers, and so yes, I do have gear and I do have things that I have acquired over time for the purpose of operating. That's different than survivalism. Operating in a wartime environment, the whole entire idea of survival is different when somebody's throwing lead at you versus when you're hungry. And so that's what we're going to go after in this page, is specifically the survival point. How to hunt, how to set up traps, using minimal things like, you may not have snare wire. Well, can't you use your boot laces? Well, I've only got one in each pair of boots. Well, cut one in half and lace up the top of your boots around your ankles and you'll be good. You got one extra to use. There's a few different things that we'll go over with that. I'm going to have some water, how to procure water in the wilderness, how to make sure it's clean. We're not going to worry about the high dollar, Catadine filters and things. I'll do reviews on those because I do have access. But for the most part, we'll talk about what the minimal stuff is. You might have nothing more than a stick and your t-shirt, and I'll show you how to adequately survive. If you do have a little bit of gear, we'll go over the very minimal stuff, the kind of things that I would carry if shit hits the fan and I grab something and I have to go. I've already got very minimal stuff. I can carry it all in like a fanny pack or something smaller. Maybe like an Alice butt pack maybe. We'll go over those types of gear too. If you do have questions about prepping, then you ask me about prepping. If there's any particular subject that you need to know about or anything you need, I'll go ahead and make a video for that. So now that you know the difference between operations and between prepping and survivalism, just let me, we'll get to it. Just let me know, we'll get to it. We'll answer whatever questions you have. I'll cover both spectrums, and bear in mind that I'm coming from a survivalist standpoint. All right, this is me signing off.